I'm fine.
Thanks.
Once again, I formally welcome you. How are you, Mr. Say Naved?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm feeling good, sir.
Walaikum Assalam. Your classmates are, coming. Give me another 1 minute. It's a new building. So have you seen the, you on YouTube?
Yeah,
I mean,
yes, sir. We've seen the
so
video of new
video is
campus.
there uh, of the new campus. Though some construction work or construction activities is still there, but the university has been shifted. Now we are really having a feel of an international institution, and I hope soon you would also be joining physically.
Is there any update, sir, about the visa, the Afghan visa?
Brother, it is up to the, this is something which I think whatever the information or status is there regarding your mail, I have gone through the mail, but it is the university administration. I think they would be having or are going to take a call on this. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. We hope that we can.
Yeah, from our side,
answer.
we have very positively recommended that the students must come, they must be able to visit physically. I mean, the campus of the university, it has already been made operational. Yeah, how many students are there? Yeah, 2 from Afghanistan have joined. Yeah.
Sir, they are from masters or PhD?
Who?
The two students. Okay, okay, sir. They are talking about the online class.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay. Yeah, I think that they are talking about campus. That two students from Afghanistan joined the campus.
Yeah. So only 3 students offline. Girls are more dedicated, and these 2 guys from Afghanistan. No, actually, no. As per the the timetable, so it was scheduled for today. And I was not supposed to email you the link of the class. So I am simply following the orders of the competent authority of the institution. Well, anyway, okay. So, what is your feeling? Are you there in the hostel? You're staying in the hostel. Okay, good. How do you find hostel facilities? Better than Akbar Bhavan, I hope. So BHK means you are not getting. I mean, okay. Okay, so good. So teachers' accommodation has been provided to the student because it took me around today 2 hours to reach over there because of the congestion of the traffic in the morning, and I confronted with a lot of school going buses, and it is almost 25 to 30 kilometers from one side, my residence, where right now I'm staying. So, anyway, so once again, I formally welcome you all, both the components of my audience, offline and online. Today, I propose to deliberate the idea of media freedom, the idea of media pluralism, the idea of media independence, what has been the journey of media freedom in different geopolitical entities. Because in the contemporary circumstances, media freedom has become some kind of a sinusoid in the eyes of the governance institutions across the world. Media freedom has attained some kind of a crisis, a phenomenon that is not alien to a particular specific or some kind of a unique feature of a geopolitical entity. Rather, it has become a new normal. Media freedom in its initial days was established as some kind of a holy cow, but over the years, what we have been witnessing that each and every institution of the state, each and every institution of the, or each and every organ of the state is being manipulated under the pressure of some kind of a political subterfuge. We find some kind of a political chicanery that has entered into the entire process of media. Today, in other words, let me put it like this, that we have been witnessing some kind of a committed media, committed not with the rule of law, committed not with ethical journalism, committed not with transparency, committed not with some kind of accountability. Rather, has started believing in the doctrine of his master voice. It means the media persons, media houses, and majority of journalists have become propagandists, not journalists. So it's just how to ensure media freedom is the most critical question in the contemporary circumstances, not only in global south, where we find the majority of the instances where the media freedom has been trampled upon under the bandicoots of political power structures. This has become a feature not only in global south, but everywhere, including what we call global north, where the global north and many of the geopolitical entities have taken the mantle of civilization and civilizing the rest of the world, because it has become the mindset of the global north and nation states. Europe is world and world is Europe. That mindset we have been, witnessing, whether it is the issue of transparency, media, human rights, and many other important, features which constitute essential elements and contours of good governance. This has become the feature. In such a scenario, how to deal with the problems of media freedom? There is no dearth of, provisions within the international media freedom framework and within the constitutional systematizations or constitutional orders or constitutional documents have made adequate provisions to ensure media freedom. But such a scenario is not at all available on the ground. Article 10 at regional level of the European Convention on Human Rights, you will find media freedom. Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Article again 19 of the ICCPR. Windhoek Declaration, and plus 30 more what you call, declarations at international level, you will find the media freedom has been, promised. But where is the media freedom? Where is the credibility of the media houses? Where is the transparency? So in such a scenario, my dear friends, we have to revisit. We understand there are a lot of, commentaries, news items, news reports, and many of the, people, even in this class also, they are associated with the media houses and the media, what you call, platforms, digital platforms. Miss Gurshindan Kaur is making and contributing a lot from different, what you call, platforms. One of my, research scholar from Sri Lanka, Mr. Hirath, he is a journalist. He has immensely contributed a lot. But there are, challenges. Challenges of transparency, challenges of good governance, ethical journalism, media pluralism, challenge of non-conformity. That is the biggest, what we call, challenge in my estimation as a student of international media law. Non-conformity has posed a lot of, challenges before the, journalist fraternity or media fraternity. So in such a situation, my dear friends, what are the safeguards which are available? That is the biggest, challenge, and we have to meet and we have to attend this particular challenge head on. So how to examine this entire, process of, media freedom? If I put a simple question to you, what do you mean by media freedom? If there happens to be a question in your midterm examination, what is media freedom? If I ask this question in the examination, then how you are going to respond it? Miss Archana. Or anybody, if your juniors are asking you, what is media freedom? And this kind of question becomes more relevant to people who have been associated or who are currently associated with some of the platforms like you. So what do you mean by Mr. Anmolam? What do you mean by media freedom?
So when you want to go in the market, they prevent a lot of basically station at the White House. So basically, he committed that I want to throw these journalists and media persons out of the White House, but I'm not. This is the media freedom that the top executive commander of our state is held accountable and is held to be accountable as to his own which which is there.
I think the media should act independently of any biases, whether it is personal, political, or cultural, or religious bias. So, like independent of these all. And media are news outlets should focus only those things which might be helpful.
Yes, Mr. Amanuddin, what do you mean by media freedom?
Yes, sir. According to that, nowadays the pool is very important. The media freedom is that journalists and media, they just report or they separate, they announce, they share what they want according to the rules with the people, without any limit that or without any forces by the government or other other people.
One of your classmates online, Mr. Ehsan Arman, is of the view the independence of sharing ideas and truth without being disturbance of the government. Yes, that is one of the most important feature. My dear friends, when we are talking of media freedom, media freedom consistent with the restrictions which have been envisioned in international media law framework, as well as the 8 constitutions of the SARC nation states, where the public morality, decency, interpersonal relations and their dignity, transparency, accountability, institutional responses, these are some of the important contours which ensures a responsive, trustworthy, accountable media, a critical media. And that is why, my dear friends, over the years, media has established itself as the 4th important organ of the state. It was the inception of the independence of media or media freedom, my dear friends, which ultimately challenged the Montesquieu orientation of the threefold power structures or 3 organs of the state. Because when we are talking of the media freedoms, media freedom, my dear friends, implies accountable liberty. Accountable liberty for publishing or to publish and distribute material which is consistent with the idea of constitutionalism. That is the basic understanding of the media freedom as far as my own what you call understanding is concerned. It should be free from governmental control, censorship, any sort of harassment. All these features should not be the they should not paper the entire idea of the media freedom. That should be the foundation of the media freedom. But what we have been witnessing over the years, take the example as a case study entire, South Asia. Can we have the media freedom of the media houses? What kind of a media freedom we have been witnessing so far? The vernacular channels are, or electronic media is concerned in Pakistan, in India, in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka. Now the media houses and the media, channels are being, censored, controlled, and filtered by the governance architecture in these geopolitical entities. In the stricto sensu, we do not have the constitutionally oriented media freedom in South Asia. Some kind of a media freedom we do find, and that has become very sporadic, I should say. We cannot have some kind of a normalization or a generalizations of the media freedom in each and every geopolitical entity. We find very few what we call, nation states who have been with this kind of understanding that this sort of media freedom is available in this part of the world or that part of the world. That amount of the media freedom is not at all available. We have been witnessing the disempowerment of the different what we call communities. It has been one of the most significant responsibility of the media channels as well as the media platforms to raise the issues of poverty, women empowerment, marginalization of the different communities, LGBTQI rights, the girl education. All these issues have always been raised by the media houses and the media personnel, but what we have been witnessing, even the governments in South Asia are simply what we call speaking in one voice. If you are not with us, it means you are against us. That sort of narrative is being what we call find. Everything has been what we call associated with the idea of popular nationalism. That has presented the biggest challenge, and that is going to be the biggest disservice to the cause of what we call inclusion, human rights, the rule of law, social action, empowerment of the Dalit rights, the rights of the highly marginalized communities. So that has become, it has always been the domain of this kind of media in our part of the world. At international level, the media houses, it was the responsibility of the media houses to raise the issue of what we call disarmament, denuclearization, climate change, environmental degradation. How tectonic plates have been what we call working, what kind of pressures, what kind of seismological activities are there. Everything has been relegated to the background because entire cynicism, international cynicism has started with the withdrawal of the United States of America from the mandate of the Paris Agreement in 2015. Media houses are not pressing on the media, as a fourth state, as one of the most important and vital, pillar of state. Media has not been properly working. It has not been properly discharging its constitutional obligations. We are talking of the media freedom. It can only be defined by one question. And the one question is to ask questions, to put questions. And what is a question? So responsibility of asking that has been the guiding and the most fundamental principle of media freedom, that is no more there. Capacity to ask question currently or in the current scenario is not with the media freedom. It is no more the part of the media freedom or the media pluralism. What is there? How rapidly or what kind of a saber rattling or rebel rousing speeches are being delivered on different channels? What happened in Sweden? Sweden, Netherlands, Finland, another other nation states in the recent what has happened over there? Is it media freedom? Is it a fundamental right to what you call burn or to sacrilege any of the religious books of a particular community? And at the same time, these Scandinavian countries claim themselves to be the most civilized nation states in terms of the quality of life, happiness, transparency, rule of law, livable conditions. These have been indicators to determine to what extent they have been civilized. I do not find any kind of a civility, because when we are talking of media freedom, then the human dignity should be the first priority. And that amount of the media freedom is not at all what we call available when we are visiting these nation states. Finland recently, immediately after that, even in Finland, withdrew permission from a person to burn the Holy Quran. So how we are going to, visit these kinds of, developments in the name of the freedom of speech and expression or the media freedom? Is it the only, item that if somebody is allowed to burn Quran, if somebody, creates some kind of a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad, if somebody is, making some kind of a, vituperative, remarks on Guru Granth Sahib, or some other religious scriptures are basically, tarnished, then only we will be in a better position. Then only we should appreciate, yes, there is a lot of freedom. Should we determine or should we perceive all these permissions, all these actions and deeds of these individuals as a symbol of the freedom of media and the freedom of speech and expression? So these are the challenges when we are talking of civility, dignity, and humanity. Because the journalism, even the critical journalism, must have some kind of a ethics. So we are basically talking, we are living in an age of extremes. That is the problem. We are not at all, either we have to be extremist positively, or again we have to be extremist negatively or positively. So two extremes are there. We do not have any kind of a balanced approach, and nuanced what you call approach. No, that is something which is missing from our what you call understanding. This has created a lot of problems. What has happened in Sweden, that was the violation of the constitution of Sweden. It was not the violations of some kind of a international legal framework. First of all, if we are taking any kind of an action, basically we are taking any action or this sort of action that goes against the very spirit of our own constitutions. Suppose as an Indian, I can give you certain important examples from the Constitution of India. Article 19, subclause A, subclause 1A, that has contemplated a lot of what we call riders, conditions, and restrictions to the freedom of speech and expression. Similar provisions you will also find in the rest of the South Asian constitutions. Because as a student of law, when I came across this Swedish incident, I immediately consulted the Constitution of Sweden. Because it is the responsibility of we, the educated class, as a civilized member or dignified members of the civil society, we should not immediately react. No, there should not be any kind of a spontaneous reaction. No, first of all, we should try to understand what has been the background of this kind of incident. Should it be allowed? Under what circumstances such a permission was granted by the authorities? Was it the violation of the constitutional provisions as well as the case law or the jurisprudence that has been developed in these kinds of geopolitical entities? Then only we should react. And remember one thing I have been telling you, my dear friends, I have been submitting ever since I have started engaging you in the comparative constitutional law classes, that everything cannot be written, everything, whatever is available in our minds, or whatever is available in future, everything cannot be written today that cannot be made the part of our constitutional scheme. It is basically the normativity or the normative element of humanity, civility, dignity, liberty, fraternity, equality. These notions have become the part of the constitutional scheme. But if you take into account simply that this is not written in the constitution, then we are living in a fool's paradise. Because that was the argument which was taken by many of the scholars in Sweden as well as in Netherlands. When this question was put to them, it has not been written. Tomorrow somebody can come that this is the right which is not available, that has not been ordained in the 9 core international human rights treaties as a obligation on the part of the state. And they may have a different kind of understanding. So, my dear friends, the question is, whatever the international human rights conventions, whatever is there in the name of the international legal framework available for the regulation of media freedom and freedom of what we call freedom of speech and expression, whether it is Article 10 of the European Convention on Human Rights, whether it is Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, whether again it is Article 19 of the ICCPR, and other important as many as the rest of the more than 30 declarations or 30 other important frameworks, including the South Asian constitutions. Everything cannot be included, everything cannot be written in the schematizations of the respective constitutions. It remains a distant dream. And that is the reason, if you take the example of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, you will find that in 1948, on 10th of December, this particular arrangement has been accepted. 30 articles have been accepted and appropriated by the best minds at that time. Best minds in the sense of politicality, best political what we call minds. They agreed, appropriated, and ultimately that these are going to be the arrangements under the auspices of the United Nations Commission at that point of time on human rights. So how these normative provisions have become the basis of the 9 other what we call 9 or 12 core international human rights treaties. Every single article has produced a full-fledged conventions of human rights. Whether it is the migrants conventions, the torture convention, or other important what we call arrangements, you will find all these arrangements as the result of collective understanding that was reflected, incorporated in the 30 articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So that is the best universal constitution. We cannot take this kind of a plea which has not been written in the constitution. So that is why the permission has been granted, and he got some kind of unfettered power to burn Holy Quran. So that kind of absurd arguments cannot be taken into consideration, and that too in the name of freedom of speech and expression or media freedom per se. Because what we have been witnessing, and you would also realize, or you might have realized, and this is the point which has also been raised, and I see really some kind of merit in the statement of our or the Foreign Minister of India. Dr. S. Jaishankar has rightly pointed out and by way of implication, I'm not in a position to reproduce in verbatim, I mean each and every word of the statement, but the gist of the statement has been that Europe must come out of its shell, and they should no more consider the European problems are global problems, and the global problems are not European problems. So that kind of obtuse narrative must be discouraged. We should be capable enough as a emerging economy in South Asia, all economies of South Asia, and that is the reason at least we should have some kind of if political integration is not possible, then the economic integration should be the next what we call priority after educational integration. Because the South Asian university is a manifestation of that particular direction or that narrative where we find that education and educational institutions are being integrated, and we are going to produce a new generation of the South Asian thinking. New generation of the South Asian legal thinking, South Asian economic thinking, South Asian technological thinking. At least we are going to be on the same page on these what we call narratives. Similarly, it is important that the media houses in this part of the world, they must what we call fall back. They must have some kind of a re-introspection. Then only we can have something which is going to be credible in our scheme of what we call of the media freedom. Otherwise, it is very difficult, my dear friends, to have some kind of a media freedom, because it was the emergence of the media as a fourth state that ultimately established itself. It has been recognized as one of the organs of the state, the fourth one, in addition to the Montesquieu orientation of the separation of powers. Other important pillars are also there which we have deliberated in our comparative constitutional law engagement. And it has become, because this reminds me of a very, very important estimate. When Indian Express in India was established, then the Ramnath Goenka at that point of a time has rightly what he call pointed out that if the government is critical of a particular newspaper, then definitely it means the newspaper is moving in the right direction. It is performing its constitutional obligations. If the legislators, the lawmakers, the elected bodies in a geopolitical entity are accountable to the masses at large, they are accountable to the members of a republic, it is the same responsibility, it is the same amount of what you call accountability which has been given to the media houses. They are also accountable to the larger what you call body. But we are a republic away from public in the current what you call scenario. We do not have some kind of integration. of those fundamental values with which our constitutions have been, enacted. And we have been raising a lot of what we call, issues in this particular, domain, which is known as the media freedom. Yes, ma'am.
That analytic or taking that since it's not a written science, but I have not. There's no implication of that kind, but I think that any that might debate after that has also changed. And it's not just about the abortion or any, it has implications on all our lives. So either would speak one of them.
The rationale behind my argument is, I do concur with you. Rationale is, we have studied the different rules of interpretation. If you study Ejusdem generis, or many other rules of interpretations have also been there in the public domain. Yeah, that I got. And your Wi-Fi is not, working properly. So I'm using my mobile. I have, created a hotspot, right? So yesterday I asked my son to purchase a separate what you call amount of data. So he has given me 50 GB. So that should be sufficient. So that cost me 300. Though he took me 500 rupees and he told me rest of the money I am pocketing. So, and I have given you 300 rupees data, and that is 50 GB. So that I'm using. No, there is no need. Because no, listen. We can manage this much of amount is manageable, and we should not further trouble your people. So don't say anything. Everything is going smoothly, so there is no problem at all. Fine. So thank you very much for your cooperation. Yeah. Miss Simran, all of us are well aware. At the time of adjudication, whenever there happens to be any kind of a judicial scrutiny of our claims, entitlements, our rights, our duties, that has provided an opportunity for the judicial mind to understand the ramifications of a particular right, to understand the consequences and implications and repercussions of some of the contests, contexts, and consequences. Suppose, or I can give you an example from the jurisprudence that has been produced by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. I don't know to what extent it remains honorable in the present circumstances. But once upon a time, in my childhood, I heard from my elders, including my late father, what kind of wisdom, sanctity, probity, honesty, judicial system of the country has enjoyed. And that too in the estimation of the ordinary people like my late father. Now I see a different kind of a picture of the judicial establishment across what we call, jurisdictions, particularly in South Asia. In 1994, Supreme Court of India came out with the reasoning that Article 21 includes the right to die. But immediately after 2 years, the same Supreme Court came out with a different kind of a, reasoning or reverse, reasoning that it does not include right to die. Because if you see the mandate of Article 21 of the Constitution of India, which is relating to right to life and personal liberty as the title of the article, as a marginal note of the article, and it goes like this: no person shall be deprived of his or personal liberty, right to life or personal liberty, except according to the procedure established by law. I don't know to what extent I was able to reproduce it correctly. Except according to the procedure established by law. And now what we have been witnessing, procedure has become a punishment. We are living in an age of, at the global level, we have been witnessing new laws with new laws. So the idea is, if you take into account Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 1 to Article 5 of the ICCPR, ten amendments to the Constitution of the United States of America, and how, because it's a later addition in the Constitution of the United States of America, at the time of what we call the drafting of the Philadelphia Convention, these 10 amendments were not the part of the original document. When it was fustigated and criticized by the scholars, and a consensus ultimately emerged that any document which claims itself to be a constitution and that is without fundamental rights cannot be designated as a constitution. So we cannot contemplate any constitutional scheme without the provisions, without the safeguards for the fundamental human freedoms and civil liberties and fundamental human rights. So idea is, we cannot write, we can only write that there is a right to life in the Constitution. Constitution of India, Constitution of Pakistan, Constitution of Afghanistan. Whether it is, right now we are, grappling whether there is a constitution in Afghanistan, but whether it is the 1964 constitution or 2004 constitution, there have been, provisions for the protection of fundamental rights. So there are provisions. Yes, fundamental rights have been, promised. Right to life has been, written. It has been subsequently left to the, fine sense of judgment of the judicial mind, how they are going to appreciate what is right to life. That was the reason at the beginning of my today's submissions, I asked you a question: what is media freedom? It is akin to that very question: what is right to life? So we cannot say simply that right to life is right to life. That does not serve the purpose. It includes dignity. The right to life does not remain mere vegetative existence, merely an animal existence. That is not right to life. The right to life includes education. Education ensures a dignity. Dignity can only be maintained by livelihood. How to eke out a dignified existence in the society, that also the part of what we call the right to life. But how to sustain it? We need clean environment. So there are, collateral dimensions. There are incidental implications. There are ancillary consequences. Then only if we apply cumulatively all these, yardsticks and parameters, then we can say, yes, there is a right to life. Because the quality of life, even the minimum continuum to sustain life, of what kind of an amount of, calories required must also be, part of, right to life. So when we are, talking of freedom, my dear friends, on the similar, footing, what is important is that ethical journalism, moral journalism, moral conviction of the what we call of journalism. Then at the same time, it shall be the responsibility of the state to ensure safety of journalists. That is important dimension when we are talking of media freedom. There is another important dimension, and that dimension is relating to what we call the media pluralism. What do we mean by media pluralism? Yes, Mr. Padmanabhan, I formally welcome you after a long time, and I hope you are going to be a daily contribution in the class. Ms. Ahmed, you are not talking of media pluralism. You are talking of diversity. There is a difference between diversity and pluralism. You are correct. I am going to receive and appreciate your argument in a different domain. Right? So in higher education, all of us are correct, nobody is wrong. Ms. Khadka, why are you yawning? You should not feel tired. I'm not tired. I was there on the driving seat exactly at 2 a.m. I reported here exactly at 8 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't sleep all night. Yesterday I slept. And I look fresh, I think. I hope. Mhm. Yeah, I'm forgetting your name. Yes, Alaknanda, that's a famous river in Uttarakhand. I visited that very river. And in Tihri Garhwal, I saw this river. So, what is your understanding of media pluralism? Hmm. Hmm. Yes. How many of you have studied course structure? Though that has not been replaced in this week, you will get a new course structure. So, but that is there. I mean, the last year's course structure is still there on the university website. Because of the Wi-Fi issues and other important logistical issues, even the international refugee law, new course structure that has already been supplied from my side, but because of some issues that remains to be applauded, and that is in this week everything would be there on the university website. When we are talking of the media pluralism, I want to give it a very detailed what you call treatment in the next week. There are different platforms. Social media is there. That subsequently I will come to attend. Internet-based media, digital platforms, print media, electronic media, OTTs, YouTube, Facebook, Amazon, and many other Prime Video, and many other important manifestations of the media. So this is known as the media pluralism. Because diversity is something, on a single platform we can have a lot of views, different views, multiple views, opposite contested views. So even a single media platform can be a manifestation of the diversity of thoughts, opinions, facts, interpretations, without any kind of a interpretative equilibrium. So that is the reason, and in a we have created a vast what we call jungle of media pluralism. The biggest problem with the media pluralism is, again, we have been witnessing, as I have submitted at the very threshold of my submissions today, that it is an age of extremism. Extremes are there. Regulation does not mean litigation, my dear friends. Remember this one. When we are talking of litigation, and when we are talking of regulation, these two what we call narratives are different from each other. Regulation here means, when we are talking how to regulate media, it means how to discipline media, how to make media trustworthy, accountable, and transparent, as an extension of the idea of the good governance. Media must ensure good governance and make what we call administrative apparatus of the state accountable towards the people of a particular geopolitical entity. That is the that should be the sole responsibility of the media houses. Media must take into account the scientific developments, scientific thoughts, rationalization, and it must dismantle all kinds of backwardness. That is the fundamental purpose, and that is why we are talking of media freedom. Programs should not be given by the governmental agencies in a geopolitical entity to the media houses, as we have been currently witnessing. Rather, it should be the sole responsibility, a constitutional what we call obligation on the part of the media houses to raise the issues, and these issues must be the in the priority list of the governance architecture. But it has become other way around in the current scenario. What should be the political discourse? What are the issues? Each and everything is being decided by the government, and they are these issues are distributed by the government to the media houses, that you have to produce a program of this much of time on this particular issue. Manufactured programs are there. The real issues of the masses are absent. They are missing from the priority list of these media channels or the print media. So how to eradicate this kind of impression? How to ensure? And despite the fact in today's circumstances, my dear friends, it has become an uphill task to confront all these kinds of challenges. On the next hand, I will provide a complete list of how many, journalists have been, killed at the global level. What kind of a, scenario is available? Many journalists have been, languishing in jail. On the last occasion also, I pointed out there are, some prominent journalists have been, killed by the Israeli armed forces. What the Israelis have, faced at the hands of what we call of their political masters during the Second World War, or prior to the Second World War, and during interwar period. They are meeting out the same kind of a treatment to their counterparts in Palestine. And what has been the media reporting? The people who do not have any kind of arms in their hands, they are being what we call designated as terrorists. And those who are building all kinds of what we call of political clout as well as uniform, they are being branded as a law what we call abiding citizens or law abiding armed forces. If you go into deeper, if you go deeper, you will also find, my dear friends, that it is not about any kind of terrorism. This impelled me to invoke another important thesis, which is popularly known as the clash of civilizations. So when we are talking of media freedom, it does not mean that the media freedom is a euphemistic connotation. No. If you scratch the what we call media freedom, beneath it you will find the real world. How the media is being currently controlled, how the media people are being harassed, independent voices are silenced, and the journalists have become propagandists. Because it is very difficult to think like a journalist. So prepare yourself on these lines, and thereafter you should be able, because I'm going to share with all of you, my dear friends, one article, and I want a critical appraisal of that very article in the form of a research review presentation in the class. Number one. Number two, I hope, I don't know how many students have registered themselves in this particular course, because it's an optional course. How many students are there? Because I am having today the entire list. So majority of the students have opted for this, right? So I will also email you a formal email, you will also receive. But anyway, let me know at this stage when you are going to submit your term paper. What should be the deadline? Decide it right now.
Anyway.
Basically, my intention is we are not able to have a proper discussion on individual what you call, because individual presentations. I am intending, my dear friends, and I have been advising my students ever since I have joined this what we call profession, that at least some kind of a time should also be, a considerable time should also be given to me. Suppose if you are going to be the 20 students or 15 students in the international media law classes, then at least I should be able to select the best 6 or 5 presentations, and we should debate what exactly has been done. So if I'm not getting adequate time to offer my observations and my comments, then it is going to be a futile exercise. So at least if you are coming out with some kind of a critique, some kind of a review, that must have some kind of a publishable material. So if at the end of the semester you are going to make a presentation and submitting your formally you are going to submit, then it means you are diminishing my role. So my request would be that please decide it at least first deadline, and if in case of any kind of a medical emergency or any other requirement, we can subsequently consider few cases. Yes, Ms. Khadka. Let me decide first. So I will decide. Yes. Yes. Oh, no, listen. RRP is different. Your term paper is different. If you want to critique a particular article and you want to make a in place of a full-fledged, I mean, you can also substitute it with your term paper. So as a article critique, you can also make a presentation. This kind of a RRP may also be or could be submitted in place of your term paper. So I will consider that also. No issues. By next week, by Friday, I should be able to provide you an article for RRP. Same, it should be at least the 15 to 2000 words. That should be sufficient for a critique. But you must be able, and I am going, if you are not interested to write a critique of any kind of an article that has been debated in the class, and you are of the view that you are going to select another article, I am okay with that also. I will provide you as many as 2 articles for the class critiquing. Otherwise, you can choose your own article if you wish. If you are having some second thoughts, suppose I have given you 2 articles in the class, and they are optional. And out of 20 or 15 students, they have selected, as many as 12 students have selected one particular article, and 4 or 5 have selected the different one. So I am okay with this kind of arrangement. If you are also coming out with your own observations that I have come across with such an article, and I want to separately going to write a critique of this article for the submission as a term paper, I am okay with that also. So first deadline that I am assigning you, and at least you should be able with the first deadline. Today is 6th of February, right? So I want by 20th of February, I should be able to have your topic and synopsis, right? This much. And by 10th of March, I should be able to have your full-fledged what you call term paper. 10th of March. Basically, if you are adhering to these timelines and deadlines, you are basically creating very comfortable zone for yourself. If there is some kind of a medical emergency or some other pressure is there, share it with me. We will consider it. Because if you are writing something, I feel that I am also the part of your writing. It's a joint what you call venture. Classroom teaching is not in some kind of taking place in some kind of an ivory tower. That is not my intention. So that is my submission. And in the next week, my dear friends, I'm going to deliberate the media pluralism and other important incidental, the issues which are coming out. So meanwhile, I'm going to share some of the important readings on these aspects. By tomorrow, you are going to get all kinds of readings on these dimensions. I would also be making clear in my set of readings, what is important from your examination point of view, and what is important for your research point of view, and what is not at all what we call relevant so far your examination is concerned. But from your research point of view, some of the important books are there. I am going to share some PDF copies of those very titles and themes. So thank you very much for the day. So because I'm also having the next class, though I'm leaving you a little bit early, but I will attend you on Monday in a very regimental manner. And my submission is, please do report on time in the class, and there should be a full attendance. So let me conduct your attendance of today as it has to be submitted. Yeah, Mr. Anmol Singh, you are here. Miss Alaknanda is also here. Mr. Abhijit Kumar Pandey is not here. Miss Suya, you are also here. Abhinav Pandey, I don't know whether he's going to take this one. Mr. Pratik Tripathi. Ms. Kaur is also here. Mr. Amit Jain is also here. Mr. Ankit Kumar. Yes, Mr. Abhishek Prakash. Mr. Khadka, you are also here. Miss Nikhil Mishra. Mr. Siddharth not here. Miss Archana, you are also here. Mr. Padman, thank you very much for your presence after a long time. And I should be, at least, I should feel that it is going to be a permanent feature, because you played a lot of, truancy in the previous semester. Miss Pereira, Miss Dilojini, Miss Snigdha, Iftisham, yes, you are also
Yes,
available.
I'm here.
Yes, Mr. Anamuddin Noori Saab, you are available. Mr. Masiullah Saab is also available. Mr. Naved, you have also reported. Ms. Mehbooba, Mr. Balwan Das, Mr. Dilip Singh, Mr. Arman, Sanullah Arman, thank you for being there. And Mr. Raza Mohammadi, you are not there. Anyway, thank you very much. So see you on the next occasion. Meanwhile, I am going to flood your inbox with a lot of titles. So stay blessed, and thank you very much for being with me.
Namaste,